Cock Punch, this project by Tim Ferriss, has just dropped. What we're going to do is we're going to jump in, have a look at the stats. We're going to have a look at the numbers, see what's happening, see how it's going, look at all the charts, profit takers, winners, losers, all that good stuff. So you can then make a decision about what is actually happening with the project. So you can just add to that research about the moves that you want to make, either entering or exiting the project. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Please do your own research before moving into the NFT space. Now, the Legend of Cock Punch, this has been going crazy over the last day, and essentially the floor price at the moment is at a 1.1 ETH, and it's moving. It's had crazy volume, 3,300. Let me just highlight it right here. You've essentially got that 3,300 volume worth of ETH. So it is absolutely crazy. And like I said, the founder of the project is Tim Ferriss. It's essentially a lot of the money's going to charity, things like that. 4-hour work week, huge, big sort of guy in the entrepreneur sort of scene, that kind of space. So when it comes down to the actual market itself, what you can see here is the volume that it's had is actually outperformed everything else. Valhalla at 1.4 sort of K ETH, CryptoPunks, Bored Apes, no chance. So people are moving in and out of this project, absolutely crazy. This is crazy volume, which is good. Also, just real quick, they've got a supply of 5,555, just so you've got a little bit of context, and the mint price was 0.3. Now, when we actually get to the charts and the stats itself, what we can see here is that essentially it had a big, crazy kind of blow off at around that 1.8 to begin with. It then found, then kind of like zigzagged and bounced down, which is fine, which is natural. What ended up happening is we had at 1.2 ETH, it actually looked like it was a support. So we had the moment here where it hit, then it sort of bounced there, popped back up, then kind of skimmed a little bit, and then again here. So it actually looks like for a while that 1.2 ETH was the essentially the support mark. But let me clear it up right now. Now what's happening from this point on, it's actually flipped. We're in a position where we're getting that 1.2 being the resistance. It tried to pump through here, and it's trying to break through right now. Now what this means is it means that at the moment, if it was on the other side, if it does pump through that 1.2, then it may have a chance to run up higher, but at the moment it just keeps getting knocked down. So that's what I'm taking away from this chart. But saying that, the reason and the justification for the price bleeding out and then essentially dropping down at this point is people would have moved in at the 1.2, say, it would have gone up to the 1.4. There would have been some profit takers. On the way down, people go, oh, I don't think we're actually it's gonna run back up again. Then it kind of bounces around, and essentially you have this bleed out period here, which is people sort of exiting positions, not seeing too much upside, de-leveraging, making sure that they're kind of not in too deep, essentially. And that is the psychology at play when it comes to the moving into a project and then keeping, like, when you treat it just as a financial thing and just looking at the floor price over and over. Now what we're going to do now is have a look at the top balances, the top holders of the space. Now what we're going to do is ignore this top one, which is the 555, because that is a marketing / dev wallet. But what I want to point out here is that the next person up, Preps to the Pros. Now they have 58. Now what I've actually done is I've done a little bit of digging and diving so you can kind of see who this person is, and they're holding sort of 58 of these in their collection. Now when you actually jump in and have a deep dive at their wallet, what you can see here is they are holding a sizable amount of Kennel Club, so like Yuga assets. So you've got Kennel Club and Mutant Ape, which values between 204 and 88 ETH. Then Cock Punch is the sort of number 3 spot when it comes in. But what you can actually do is if you actually jump over and like search that on Twitter, you can see here, so they've got 22 apes. Now this would be in a like a vault or something like that, but the idea is this is the person who is the top holder of sort of Tim Ferriss's cock punch, and that is preps to the pros. So big shout out this dude that's holding a sizable bag of Tim Ferriss. Now what we're going to do right now is jump in and have a look at the profit takers and the profit leaderboard and see where those people are. So we're having a look at the gains, the gains of the project itself. Now, what you can see here, top profit taker, 4.28 ETH. But what is crazy here is you can actually see they've bought 14 and sold 13. Now you could dive in deep in the wallet, but the idea is they have taken a big run, big gamble. They're still invested in the project. They're still holding one, but they've made a tidy little profit. I think that's good. That's healthy. I just find this strange and interesting in a different way, with the fact that there is such a large profit taker and then everyone else are people that have just exited the project. You can see that here. Let me just clean it up for you. You've got NFTs bought and then NFTs sold. And then here, essentially, if someone's bought sort of one or two and then sold one or two, they've essentially exited the project completely. They don't want to be in it anymore. They wanted to just use the arbitrage, use their whitelist to make that flip. Nothing wrong with that. That's fine. But it's I think it's funny that the top profit taker is actually kind of invested in the project, and everyone else that's underneath him have just kind of exited. So this is a strange one. Haven't seen this before, but I like it. It shows, and then you can also look the guy up if you really wanted to. Simp.eth with the S being a $sign, because that dude is rolling in those bags. Now let's have a look at the entry points of the traders. So where they have actually kind of bought in, so you can see where some of the top buying addresses, where some of the smart money have actually moved into the project. So you can see where their entry points are, so you can see if you're going to get a discount of those people. Now the top 5 buying addresses have bought in at above that 1.4 mark initially, and then after that, they've scooped up a few more, but they're still above that 1.2 mark. So at the moment, if you can get in at a 1.2, you're buying it in at a discount of the top 5 buying addresses. Now, smart money usually buys in much cheaper than everyone else. You can see a few of the mints here, but the idea is like they did catch the FOMO initially, but a lot of it was between that sort of that one under that 1.5 to the 1.15, and smart money always does buy in at a cheaper price at better entries. And you can see here they're starting to scoop some up now. Right now we're kicking into the morning in the US, and I do expect to see more of them. If there is more of a pullback, I do expect to see more smart money scooping up some of these. It just makes sense, and it's what usually happens with the sort of cycles, things like that. Now, what we're going to do right now is have a look at the listings, the sort of like the thickness of the floor, things like that, just to give you an idea of what's actually going on. When we get to the sort of, now we're looking over this section here, the number of NFTs listed, and you can, what we can see here is that there is a steady, well, there was a steady sort of run up, but now we are starting to see a trend down, which makes me think there is a slight flippening of sort of the buy to sell ratio coming through just a little bit. But like I said, that kind of makes sense with the fact that we've had the US asleep and the US waking up. I think that'll change the dynamics a little bit when we actually have some of that market come into play. And when we actually have a look at the numbers themselves, we can see that we essentially got up to 568 on average listed, and then it started to drop back down. Nothing too crazy. Now, when we get to the listings between underneath that 2 ETH mark, we do have 300 NFTs. So if you are looking to try to get in and make a 2x, there needs to be a stupid amount of volume. The floor is very, very thick when it comes to the market and what's happening. So I don't expect there to be a crazy 2x unless there is some delistings, because essentially you need sort of 400 ETH worth of volume to come through to really kind of push this up and crazy and get it to some bigger numbers. And saying that, that then means that it needs essentially 10% of the volume that's already had to come through in one big swoop to actually really push it forward. Not saying it can't happen, but it does make it a little bit sort of difficult on that front when it comes to the actual kind of sort of floor price, how fast can it run, things like that. I think that's a very smart thing to be aware of to ensure that you're not in a position to actually kind of be left in a bad spot, expecting more upside when there isn't as much upside as you would like. Now, this is a fun one and it is related collection. So it's what the holders are also holding and what they're kind of related to. Now, Proof Collective Grails, that comes in at number 1 at 60. Now, people that had the Grails were essentially airdropped those, but then you also have the Moonbirds, Proof, Moonbird oddities, because they're also part of the Proof ecosystem. Tim Ferriss and Proof, I'm not sure exactly how they're connected in a way, so don't quote me on it, but I know that he's tight with those guys, homies, etc. So that is essentially why it's come through that way. But it's nice to know you can kind of see what kind of holders are in the ecosystem, so you can then know if you're holding the project, if you're holding along the lines of other sort of ecosystems that you'd like to be a part of. It's a very good way to kind of see that. So what is my price prediction? Where do I see all of this going? Well, let me clear it up for you. At the moment, the fact that we're kind of just around that 1.2 mark, 1.1 to 1.2 mark, and it doesn't look like we're going to have much upside just because of this downtrend that we're having. It makes me think that before we get to the reveal, and this is me not knowing the insides and outside of the reveal, I think we're going to kick around at the 1.2. We may go back up to the 1.4, and that is a may, but I don't see us getting above the 1.4 unless some crazy news or something comes through. But when it comes to the actual reveal, I think we'll drop down to the 0.75 to the 0.8 range, and then we will kind of settle up at around just under that 1 ETH mark. After that, time will tell, but I can see a quick wick down to these to this realm, but I don't see it holding up here. Essentially, if this does bleed out under 1 ETH, and then we get to reveal, I can see it going back down to around that sort of 0.6. So before reveal, where we were at, I would imagine above that half an ETH mark, but I don't see it kind of ripping too far down, because I think there will be people that see a great opportunity at around that sort of 0.6 to 0.8 mark, and that's where I think it will get gobbled up. But after that, like I said, it depends what Tim does with announcements and things like that. So that is my price prediction for the Legend of Cock Punch. So that is a look at the Legend of Cock Punch by Tim Ferriss. If you found value in this video, please consider hitting up that subscribe button, and while you're down there, also hit up the like button. As always, it's been a pleasure having you with me. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.